multi-threading in the project? Can you explain this scenario? Can you explain this scenario where you have used multi-threading in the project and how you have used multi-threading in the project?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You guys understood what is the code I am writing and how I am submitting the task to the threads. How thread is going to process each trigger. Here I don't have a threads actually. If I have the threads, then I need to pass triggers.getOfI. Triggers.getOfI.
Callable is returning something here.
Callable, yeah, if you want to return some value from the callable, you can return that because callable
So in case callable is returning anything, that has to be held in future, right? Or
yeah,
like
you can store in the future. You can return the future from here. You can specify future of object. You can return that future object, no problem.
So I need to further learn this concept in depth. So what do I from where do I learn?
Just you said, I mean, there is nothing much depth in this concept. So if you understood how to implement this, then that is sufficient. Multi-threading.
No, sir, I need to understand, those further advanced concepts like future, completable future, and that blocking and unblocking. So
you just search in the Google completable future concept in the Java.
Yeah, but there are no good tutorials.
I will check it. I will check for some resource.
So you have any course where you cover this completable?
No, madam. That is part. Actually, that is basically core Java topic. I am not teaching core Java.
Okay, sir. So these are Java 8 features, is it?
Yeah, completable feature. No, it is there in the Java 1.5 onwards. They made some changes to that in the Java 1.8. Executor framework introduced in the 1.5 version only.
Because there are few annotations also, @async and all.
Yes, right. That is completable features that we are going to use.
So will you show us?
No, that is not required here basically. I will share you some tutorial link where you can go through that completable feature.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Guys, do you understand how to implement multi-threading in the real-time project now and a perfect scenario to implement multi-threading? In our project, we have a correspondence API which is responsible to send the notices to the citizens. Generating a notice one after other is a time-taking process. So to reduce that time, we have implemented a multi-threading concept in the project. By using multi-threading, we are able to process the triggers parallelly and quickly. In order to implement multi-threading, we are going to use executor service. What is the advantage of going for this executor service, guys? What is the advantage of going for this executor service? Executor service is used to create the threads dynamically based on the given number. So once we created the executors, by using pool, we can submit the task to the thread. How many tasks I'm submitting to the threads now? Based on the triggers I have, based on the number of pending triggers. For every pending trigger, I will submit one task. Inside that, I'm calling process trigger method. So every thread is going to call the process trigger method to process one trigger, so that my performance of the application will be improved. Very quickly, I can complete the processing of all the triggers. Yesterday, that is what the code I have given. If you want to test with live data, you can execute a procedure to insert 1000 records into the table. Then this is the logic I have given, which is used to process each pending trigger. You need to keep this logic in the project. I'm getting first all pending triggers, executor service, completion service. Then for each pending trigger, I'm submitting a task. Inside the call method, I'm calling process trigger. Process trigger method having this logic, which is going to read the data from the eligibility table, which is going to generate the PDF, which is going to read the application data for the email. Then it is going to send the email. Then it is going to update the trigger to the database table. Yesterday I thought of executing this logic, but yesterday class was not happened due to mic issue. So today I have executed this application. I'm able to show you what is the time it is taking when we run the program with a single thread, and how much time it is taking when we run the program with a single thread, and how much time it is taking when we run the program with multiple threads. When I run the program with a single thread, it is taking 5 minutes approximately. When I run with the 10 threads, it is taking only 20 seconds to process the triggers. So if you want to do any kind of this processing in the real time, then you can go for multi-threading. This is one scenario. And the second scenario, guys, every month bank applications will send the bank statements to your mail ID. So my bank account, your bank account, there is no relation. I am a SBI holder. You are also SBI holder. Every month, that SBI application should generate the statement and should send it to email. Can we say that multi-threading will be used for that also? Statement generation. How many customers will be there in the SBI? How many customers will be there in the SBI? Multiple customers will be available. Generating an account statement is an easy job or a difficult job? Generating the account statement is a lengthy process. Can you generate the notices one after other, one after other? If you generate the notices one after other, it is going to take a lot of time. For the bank account statements also, can we use a multi-threading concept? For bank account statements also, can we use multi-threading? For bank accounts also, can we use multi-threading? Right. Here, in our IHIS project, we are using multi-threading to generate the notices for the citizens parallelly. If I generate the notices to the citizens parallelly, then my execution will be completed quickly. My execution will be completed quickly. Okay. Very good. So with this, we understood what is correspondence API and how that correspondence API is executing. Guys, basically what you need to do here is, instead of doing the hard coding, I less than triggers dot get size. I less than triggers dot size. Based on the number of triggers, this loop has to execute. Then triggers dot get of I we are going to supply. Triggers dot get of I. So each trigger we are going to process. Whatever the trigger we are getting, the trigger object we need to supply. Okay, that index value we have to supply. Right. Int final int I value, that we are going to take this. Now that a trigger object we are going to get here. Okay, so here what I will do, triggers dot get of I. Now I got the trigger. That a trigger object I will process a trigger method like this. This loop is going to execute number of times based on the pending triggers. I am getting the pending triggers first, then executor service, creating a thread pool, then completion service, pool.submit. Pool.submit method I am executing inside a loop because the loop is going to execute based on number of pending trigger size. If I get 1,000 triggers, the loop will execute for 1,000 times. If I get 1 lakh triggers, the loop will execute for 1 lakh triggers. So what I am doing inside the loop is, for every trigger, I am submitting a task to the pool. Pool.submit with this process trigger of the trigger object. So for every trigger, pending trigger, task will be submitted to the thread. In the pool, we have 10 threads. How the 10 threads will process 1,000 triggers? Pool is going to reuse the threads. For first thread, it will give the first trigger. For second thread, it will give the second trigger. For the third thread, it will give the third trigger. It is going to reuse the threads. Once the first thread completed the processing, then the thread will be idle in the pool. Then the pool is going to use the same thread again to submit the another task. Until this loop is completed, tasks will be submitted to the threads and the threads are going to execute parallelly. My triggers will be processed parallelly. But our laptops are just 8 RAM. 10-15 threads are maximum you can use. 10-15 threads maximum you can use because our hardware is very limited. 1 to 500 GB hard disk, 8 GB RAM we are using. In the company, In the company we are going to use 1000 GBs of RAMs. In the company's 1000 GBs of RAMs they are going to use. Okay, right. Now when your hardware is supporting, then you can take multiple threads also. Now I'm deleting my database, guys, because if I don't delete, it will charge. I'm deleting already. Today I have executed 3000 queries with the database. Sorry, 1000 into 3000 times my queries got executed with the database today. Maybe I think the bill will be generated for me because I have executed with the cloud database. So 3000 times, 1000 times my loop is executed. For every loop counter, 3 queries got executed. So total I have executed 3000 queries with the database. Maybe bill will be generated for me. You don't try this with the cloud database, guys. You try this with your local database. If you have a database in the local, you try with that. Don't try with the cloud database because bill will be generated for you. So what you need to do is, after your testing is completed, select the database, click on delete. The database will be the database that you need to delete. Otherwise, they will generate the billing for you. Delete it. Already it is in the deleted state. Okay, that's fine. My database is getting deleted. So with this we understood what is correspondence API and what is the purpose of the correspondence API. Correspondence API is used to send the notices to the citizens. So with this we understood what is multi-threading and how to implement multi-threading also in our application. Okay, good. Now these are the APIs we have completed. Are you guys confident now? What is our project? What are the APIs available? What is the purpose of the each API? What are the tables and how to use multi-threading? All these things. Perfect. Okay. Guys, now, so with this, you got the clarity. So what is a backend application? Guys, now, do you understand why it took this much time to understand this project? The reason is we are following microservices architecture. If I develop everything in one project, it is very easy to understand. But why you guys are taking time to understand the reason? We are developing as a microservices architecture. This is one of the challenging thing with the microservices. You will not get the complete visibility. I have the visibility, the reason I worked on the project for 4 years. But you are new to this project, that's why for everybody, not only for you, for everybody it will take time to understand the project when it is in the microservices, because everything we are developing as a separate API, we need to do duplicate configurations we need to do in the projects because every project is separate REST API. So the development will be little challenging when you go for the microservices. Monolith application development is very easy because everything we are going to create in the single application. Monolith application development is easy because everything we are creating in the simple application, configurations we have to do only at one place when you go for monolith. But when you want to go for microservices, you need to take these challenges. You need to take these challenges. Okay? You need to take these challenges. Visibility problem will be there when you go for microservices. Everything is developing as a separate API. Now, tomorrow, I'm going to tell you how can we secure these APIs with the cloud gateway, guys. Now, I'm going to tell you how we have implemented this microservices architecture, what are the other concepts we have used in these microservices, and what is cloud gateway. That clarity I'm going to give you in the tomorrow session. Once that clarity is completed, then we will see the remaining things. Okay, most probably in the next week we are going to complete this, guys. Most probably by next week this course will be completed. I have implemented all the backend APIs. This is the first time in the JRTP course I have implemented all the APIs. Good. So tomorrow we will see how to work with this microservice architecture part. Tomorrow we'll see how to work with this microservices part. Yeah, Raj Lakshmi, you got the bill in the AWS for RDS service, right? You do one thing, go to the RDS, select your database, click on delete. Click on delete. You delete your database. Even if it is there in the MySQL workbench, no problem, because MySQL workbench is just a client software. MySQL workbench will not give you any billing. Right? You select this database, you click on delete it. The database, if you delete, then no problem. Just to go to RDS service, select it, action, stop it or delete it. Do one thing, either stop or delete. Then bill will not be generated for you. You close MySQL workbench, nothing will happen in the MySQL workbench. MySQL workbench is just a client. You have to delete the database which is created in the RDS to avoid the billing. Fine. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Tomorrow I will show you how this project is configured with microservices, what is a gateway, what is service registry, that I will explain in the tomorrow session. Okay, fine. Yeah, Rajalakshmi, if you give the endpoint in the workbench, no problem. No problem. You just delete the database, that's it. The only thing that you need to do, delete the database in the cloud. If you have it in the workbench, no issue. You just delete it from the cloud database. Thank you, guys. Tomorrow I will talk about API gateway, how to manage all these APIs in the backend. That I will discuss tomorrow in our session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Happy weekend.